Hello, students. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jim Oberlander. I'm one of the faculty members here in the College of Nursing. I'm going to be walking through the BSN course CJE exam remediation plan. Now, this remediation plan is based on typically your open check CJE exam. Normally in your courses, that's going to be assigned as a homework. You're going to complete it at home. The only way this really works to help you improve your preparation for the NCLEX and help you improve your preparation for nursing practice is to take it with integrity. Take that exam by yourself, no resources, no Google, no Netflix playing in the background. Take it as if you're taking an exam, do the best you can. And then when you get your results, you're going to use those results in order to improve your understanding about the concepts that you're struggling with. If you do it any other way, then this doesn't help you. You're only hurting yourself by doing this any other way. And hopefully not the future patients that you take care of. So really just strongly encourage you to take the exam, submit the exam to your instructor. Your instructor will release the strengths and opportunities report, which we'll get to in a minute, and then you'll complete the remediation plan. So you're going to put your name down. You're going to put the title off of the exam, which for this patient on the left, you see, for the student on the left, you see it's readiness benchmark 1. That would be the title. And then you're going to put the overall CJ exam score, which for this student, it would be 62. And then the plan due date is going to be in each course individually. The exam has its own due date, and then the remediation plan has its own due date, and you're going to have to see your syllabus for that. And then you're going to walk through the directions. Again, these directions are being given to you in video format and on paper, so you're not going to see much difference between the step-by-step process, and hopefully for consistency, you're going to follow these exact same steps for everything. So the link that you've already clicked on is right there. That's me talking right now. So step 1 is you're going to go to the benchmark.examsoft.com website. This is after the instructor releases the results, and you're going to select your CJE exam. In this case, it was the readiness benchmark 1. That student clicked the print button in the top right-hand corner, and then select save as PDF or Microsoft to PDF, and that's going to save it to your device, your computer device, because you're going to be screenshotting images from the strengths and opportunities report and copying those images into this Word document with the directions. Everything you do is going to end up in this directions document. So then you're going to go and complete the review of strengths and opportunities report, which is page 2 below. I've sort of filled it out for this student. You notice the concept here. So this student, you're only going to be documenting the needs improvement icon elements, which is your red triangle. So no addiction, no cellular regulation, cognition, yes, coping, yes, culture, yes, elimination, fluid and electrolytes, so on and so forth. You're going to fill it out. Then you're going to, once you're done with the concepts, there's going to be exemplar diseases. This gets down granular level. So if you're like, well, where did I struggle in these concepts specifically? This area tells you, where you are specifically struggling in those individual concepts. So for this student, adolescent, anxiety, cerebral vascular accident, which is a stroke, chronic kidney disease, end-stage renal disease, which often happens after years of hypertension and or diabetes, cleft lip and palate. So that gets into a little more specific detail of your concepts and where you're struggling. And then you scroll through that. Then you have some other items that need filled out. The client needs, which is going to be this item at the bottom, and this student had issues in all of them. And then nursing process, which is the top one up here, the student had issues in all of them. And then the cues and competencies, the student had issues in all of them except the patient care patient-centered care, which if this exam was early on in the program, we expect this. You should expect this. So you're going to be weak in these areas. If it's later on in the program, the hope is that you have improved through the remediation process and through learning through your courses. You're going to have fewer concepts and fewer of the nursing process and QSing competencies and the NCLEX exam client needs. That's based on your NCLEX exam. You're going to have fewer of those to review. Even if not, this is all a process of improving. So once you're done with that, you're going to scroll back to the directions. Step 3 is complete the performance analysis, which is page 3 below. So we're going to scroll down to page 3. This is sort of a reflection review, check boxes of how did you study for this? Was there any studying for this? And then how do you feel why do you feel you missed exam questions? What are some of the main reasons on that exam that resulted in you struggling with the areas you struggled with? Then you're going to go back to the directions, and page 4 is going to be determine number of remediation activities. So this is really specific instructions. So you got this page, and you're going to follow this very carefully. So you're going to match the overall exam score. So again, that's the 62%. And then you're going to correlate the table with the selection of remediation items below the table. So for this student, the readiness exam, which is the bottom row, they got a 62, which is your does not meet standard, meaning this student is going to complete a total of 12 activities, 4 CJ Sims, one consider question per CJ Sim, which is a group of 3 questions, and then 4 remediation reflections, along with everybody does the learning contract as well. And I'll explain more of what that looks like here in a second. So then step 2 is you're going to use the Nurse Think curricular grid spreadsheet, which is in your Blackboard. I'm going to pop that up here. It's going to look like this. And you're going to look at your top 4 concept areas, the areas that you struggle with the most. You're going to hit Control F, and then you're going to type in, for this individual, cognition was one of them. So you just type in cognition, and what you're looking for is the concept column. So even though cognition is over there under conceptual cases, I want under the concept column if possible. Some of them don't. Here we go. So if you hit next in your Nurse Think Fine, that's a macro concept or even just concept. Either one of those columns is fine. So you can look at this, and these are your column. These are the activities that you can do to improve. It gives you an exemplar disease. It gives you CJ Sim. It gives you conceptual case workbook, conceptual case videos. There's all sorts of Nurse Think resources that you can utilize to improve. One of these columns, very important, is the CJ Sim, that you can select a specific CJ Sim patient to go over your area that you're struggling with. So cognition, maybe psychosis, some of these you get to pick. Now this one really only has the acute and chronic disorders for your CJ Sims. That's just an example. Another one, what if I think it was fluid and electrolyte, fluid and maybe it's fluid ampersand, electrolyte. What if I just type in fluid? Why isn't it doing? Oh, it's because I had that highlighted. See, here we go. Fluid and electrolytes. There you go. And again, it's going to give you the CJ Sims. It's going to give you other options. Again, fluid, electrolytes. There's more than just one row of issues. So fluid, electrolyte, all these electrolytes, so you can continue to locate specific CJ sims that you want to improve on. And then you're going to log into CJ Sims, which I have right here. You're going to log into CJ Sims. If you haven't done so, it should just be your UT login that you use for all the other CJ Sim stuff. You're going to click on View Course, which is going to give you all of these different options, and you can take those CJ Sim from the grid, that Excel document I just showed, and you're going to go locate under Fundamentals. Where's it at? There we go. Fundamentals, and you're going to look for that specific patient for the issue that you needed to review. And there are a ton of CJ Sims, but we want to focus in on your specific weaknesses. Then you're going to complete the CJ Sim and other desired remediation activities. The importance is that you attempt to achieve an 80% on your own, no resources, do the best you can, but we are maxing it out. The program is maxing it out at 3 attempts. So if you don't get an 80% the first time, go through it again. If you don't get it a second time, third time's a charm or not. That just tells you you have more areas to improve, but we wanted to put a limit at how many attempts you did. And then complete 1 consider question per sim, not per sim question. So each sim question, let me back up. Each CJ Sim patient, every time you start it, it has 3 questions. So if I click on any one of these patients, it's only going to give you 3 questions. Within each one of those questions, you'll have 3 or 4 consider questions to think about. That's it. Now, if you do this attempt 3 times, still only want 1 question. So if you don't get an 80% on the first attempt, but you did one of those questions in one of those, one of the consider questions in one of the CJ Sim questions, and that's kind of confusing. You don't have to do any more consider questions for any of your other 2 attempts. So you're just doing 1 CJ Sim consider question per. So this student, for instance, they had that 62%. They would have, that does not meet standard. They would have to, and again, I'm following through the match overall exam score. They got a 62%. They have to do 4. And then we did the grid, and then we did the log into the Sims, and then we dealt with the consider questions. Now you have documentation that you have to do for this. So we're going to go back to the directions. That tells us to do the learning contract on page 5, and then the appropriate number of remediation reflections. We'll get to those 2 pages. Learning contract is pretty straightforward. If you have a 62% on that exam, we needed 4 concepts. If that student got a 77%, they would be under the meet standard. They'd only have to do 2 of each of those. So that in that case, you got a 77. Oops, that's not what I want to do. We would have to fill out a concept here and fill out a concept here. But for this student, they had to fill out 4 of them. Then you click on a few items here. Obviously, the CJ Sim will be clicked for everybody, but there's some other options that you may consider to remediate. And it would be important to do a couple other items other than your Sims. You got the bottom of your learning contract with a signature, and then the remediation reflections is on page 6 follows. And if you had 2 concepts that needed to be done based on your score, then you're going to do step 1 and 2 for the first concept and step 1 and 2 for the second concept. For this example, this student got a 62%. They would have had 4 concepts listed, and they would need to do the first and second step for concept 1, concept 2, concept 3, and concept 4. So that all depends on how many concepts you've completed. And then you have the verification pages. So again, all of this is in the directions. Complete verification pages. very important that you follow along with this very specifically. Otherwise, you may have to return to the CJ Sims to get the correct screenshot, which means you may have to do the CJ Sim again. So, must save image as soon as CJ Sim is completed. This image is what is needed because it has your name on it. It has the score, the date, the time that it took to complete. That is the image that will be accepted. So for this example, this student would do 4 CJ Sims. They do their first CJ Sim patient on whichever concept they wanted to do based on those 4. They're going to complete the sim, and then they're going to copy and paste that image right here. And then within that CJ Sim, they would have selected one question. You can screenshot the question if you want, or you can type the question out if you want. And then you also need to include your typed answer to that singular consider question. It must be at least 30 words. That's to make sure that students are responding appropriately and professionally instead of just like a 3-word answer. We want a thoughtful response to each of these. Again, this student, based on their score, would have 4 CJ Sims, 4 CJ Sim questions. So they're going to have the 4 images. They're going to have the 4 questions, either images or typed, and then their 4 responses. And then this is page 2 of 2. And this is where you paste the image of your strengths and opportunities report. And again, this is on the directions page. CJ Sims, consider questions. And then your strengths and opportunity report. Must include the first page of the report, but you can include all of them. So this student would scroll down. They would take a screenshot of this page. They would have their name listed, the score, the date, the test, and their first, this first page. That screenshot goes into the Word document on your right. You can screenshot all of the pages if you would like, or if your computer saves it differently and you're able to just copy and paste all of them at once, that's fine. Just definitely have to have that first page. Once you've completed all of those items, all those pages in the Word document, you're going to save the Word document and you're going to submit just this Word document as your assignment. Okay, must include all items, and you're going to submit it to the Blackboard assignment link in your proper class. And that is those are the instructions, the directions, step by step for completing the Open Check CJE exam remediation plan. Hope this was clear and insightful and helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email about it or communicate first with your course instructor about the process. Thanks and have a great day.